People are getting exposed for faking success, renting the look instead of building the life. So let's talk about the difference between a pretty but fragile kingdom and one built on a foundation that actually lasts and even grows over time. This is the Bible on Business and Influence, and I'm Dr. Trudy Beerman, your host. We meet Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, and thank you for watching live or later. We just dropped our brand new mobile app, the Bible on Business mobile app, found in your favorite app store. You can participate in the live Bible study on the app. In addition, it has a brand new community, so it's brand new because we just dropped the app, where you can begin to connect with others of like mind, others who feel the same way you do and are on a similar journey of trying to make sure that their entire life, not just their Sunday mornings, is built for loving God and serving people. There is also housed in the app the Bible on Business book and workbook. The book and workbook are available in the marketplace. However, at no cost to you, it's built into the mobile app, and the workbook is actually interactive. So you can write your thoughts, your insights that come out of the 40-day devotional of the book, and it will save your progress and track it for you. So the mobile app is a great way for us to stay connected, and I will absolutely engage with you there, as well as if you are participating and commenting in the YouTube or LinkedIn or wherever you're watching this. Like I said, the book and workbook are actually physical assets, and should you be interested in running your own small group and you want the physical book and workbook, then just connect with me for various bundle pricing. And then when you have your in-person work study of this curriculum, I'd be happy to pop in virtually or live if possible and say hello to your group. So let's get ready. I have my beverage of choice. It's usually water, but sometimes I have coffee. And let's go through today's study on the pretty fragile kingdom as we together work on becoming influential leaders using biblical principles. If you happen to be in the Tampa Bay area, from time to time I host live in-person experiences of this Bible study here in my conference room. I love doing that. It gives me an opportunity to meet you in person, hugs, we can pray with each other, and then we can network together before and after the Bible study. There will be an RSVP in the link wherever you found this so that you can see the next opportunity and then join if you are able to. So, like I said, there are influencers who aren't standing in real wealth. They're just standing in a photo set. And I have the receipts to prove it. So there are several articles on this. I just picked up a few. Here's one from Here's one from Hot 99.5. Influencers exposed for renting fake private jet studio in LA. Here's another one. The $1 Million Mirage, how LA influencers are renting their way to fake fame. And here's yet another one. Jet Set Lie, social media influencers hire fake private jet for likes and followers. Now, the private jet is one of the favorite of those who are trying to suggest that they have made it because flying private jet is like one of the ultimate statements. So there you go. They have created an image, not an actual influential, impactful life. Some people are building a brand that looks strong. I mean, on surface, you see views, followers, and attention, but they're standing still on something that's actually quite weak, what I call the pretty but fragile kingdom. Now, Jesus talked about building on rock or sand. And in this conversation, we're not talking about building houses. We today are talking about building reputations. We're building influence. We're building what people know us for. So let me read from the Bible in Matthew 7, verses 24 through 27. It says, "Build your house on the rock" is a title. "Everyone who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who builds his house on the rock. And then the rain fell and the floods came and the winds blew and beat on the house. But it did not fall because it had been founded on the rock. Anyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rains fell and the floods came and the winds blew and beat against the house and it fell, and great was the fall of it." Now, this passage is mirrored in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 6, verses 46 through 49. And I'll read it again because it does have a slight nuance here. It says, "Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do what I tell you? Everyone who comes to me and hears my word and does them, I will show you what he is like. He's like a man building a house who dug deep and laid the foundation on the rock. And when the flood rose and the stream broke against that house and could not shake it because it had been well built. But the one who hears and does not do them is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. When the stream broke against it, it immediately fell, and the ruin of that house was great." So the Gospels really present the same story from different perspectives. This is important, guys, because if three of us see the very same accident, we see it from different perspectives. Let's say somebody saw it from 3 stories up, somebody saw it from across the street, and somebody was in the car when it happened. It's the same accident. We're going to have different versions of that story. And so I'm going to use the Matthew version to stress some things here, because Jesus is speaking and he says, everyone who hears these words and does not do them versus those who hears the word and does do them. And I want to say right now that, Jesus is warning here. He's warning here. He's warning about building something that looks impressive, but has no foundation underneath it. Looks impressive, but has no foundation underneath it. Hears and does. There are too many content consumers. I hope you're not just a content consumer. When I run these Bible studies, guys, first of all, it's a personal study for myself. I'm not coming here to talk at you. I'm coming here to talk with you. First of all, I've done this study for myself because I am first and foremost, I'm not asking you to do as I say, but not do as I do. So I'm telling you right now, I'm not just a content consumer. I read the word of the Lord, and this particular Bible study, I've said it many times if you followed me, is not set up to be so much a theological breakdown of the passages. Yes, my master's degree was from the School of Theology. However, I am focused on implementation. I use the principles of the theology, the principles. So I'm not your pastor. I'm not the theologian trying to look at the theology of the text. Where I'm coming from is to see what is the principle, what is the application, how can I use this to understand the world I live in and use it to work with what I've got. And sometimes we're transposing principles. So like when we talk about in physics, energy is not created, it's simply transferred. That may be physics, but then I understand in my body that when I exercise, that is energy and it's being converted into heat. So we can take principles and apply them across other platforms and other domains. So when Jesus is warning us about those who hear and don't do versus those who hear and do, this is the first thing I want to bring to your attention, because a lot of people are content consumers. What we really need are more people who will implement. That is the focus of this Bible study, is to extract the kind of information that we can take action on right away. That is my focus with this Bible study every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Just saying, okay? So, hearers and doers. Hearers and doers. That's who I intend to be. That is what I'm encouraging you to be. And when you listen to this Bible study, I hope you walk away with an intention to do. And I'm going to give you some ideas of what the doing actually looks like. So we're not going to be building fake kingdoms here. We're not going to be creating false images, keeping up with the Joneses, buying the expensive car while we're eating ramen at home just so we can pretend to be well done, so we can get some respect. And it's all fake. That's not what this is about. If that's you, this study is not for you. With all due respect, this study will not work for you. So let's talk about what the doing actually looks like. So it's not going to be comprehensive, guys, because there's way more. I have 4 points here for you about what the doing actually looks like. But in my life, there's way more than 4 things that I do. But for the sake of this study, I'm giving you 4 ideas of what the doing could look like in the space of influential reach, building a business on biblical principles. And Jesus drew crowds, so why shouldn't we? We have a message worth sharing. We have a business with a solution. We want to impact as many people as we can. Therefore, we definitely want to grow our influential reach. And let me just define influential reach here once again. Today, because of influencers, which was a new thing, it never existed. I don't know if it existed as much as a decade ago, but we have influencers now. And so the phrase influential reach has become known for how many followers does an influencer have. Well, I have influencer status on most of my platforms, but that's not the point. When I say influential reach, I am talking about having a transformational impact on an ever expanding audience base. So what does the doing look like as we build a business on biblical principles and building influence and influential reach so that we can have this transformational impact on an ever expanding audience base? So let's talk about number 1. We want to create assets that stand the test of time and the refining fire. We want to create those kinds of assets. So let me give you another biblical reference on that. So there's something called the fire test, the refining fire. The Bible has several places where it talks about the refining fire. 1 Corinthians 3 verses 12 through 13 says, each one's work will become manifest because it will be revealed by fire. If your thing that you've created can stand the test of time, let's go back to the house analogy again. There was a house in my community that burned. Someone fell asleep with a cigarette in their mouth. Yes, unfortunately, they passed away in the experience. But the house, yes, the furniture was destroyed, but the house was built of block and steel. So the frame of the house was still perfectly fine. Had that been a wooden house, that would have been completely torched to the ground. So the fire test doesn't mean you won't have tests, guys. We are promised to have tests, and the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And he's not coming unless he can kill, steal, and destroy. So the moment you have a good thing, the devil's going to step in, just like he came into the Garden of Eden and messed with Adam and Eve. Don't think he won't mess with you too. So when he comes and messes with you, will your work stand the test of time? When you write a book, for example, that book can outlive you. That book can outlive you. There are so many entrepreneurs today who read Think and Grow Rich, for example, and Napoleon Hill has died a long, long time ago. So your book, for example, is an asset you could create that can stand the test of time. It won't necessarily last forever because maybe some of our ideas will become outdated, but it can outlast you. Number 2, do something that proves you know what you know. Do something that proves you know what you know. So here in Luke 7, verse 22, we see in the Bible, John the Baptist has sent his disciples to say to Jesus, "Are you the one?" And Jesus sends back in Luke 7, verse 22, and says, "Tell John, the blind see, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is proclaimed to the poor." Guys, this is a prophecy that is fulfilled and mentioned in Isaiah 35, verses 5 and 6. Jesus is basically saying to the disciples to go back and tell John, the prophecy of Isaiah 35, verses 5 through 6 is being fulfilled in me. I am proving that I am who you think I am, and you're trying to confirm that I am. So do something that proves you know what you know. I am doing something that proves that I know what I know. And part of it is this Bible study right here. So do something that proves you know what you know. I promise you, your demonstration, your screenshot, your social proof, that testimonial is going to speak louder for you and do more for you and your business than you saying, "I'm great, this is the best." No, do something that proves that you know what you know. Thirdly, do something consistently enough to be recognized for that thing. Do something consistently enough to be recognized for that thing. You know, you want to lose weight, and if you put in 24 hours of exercise today versus an hour of exercise over the next 24 days, 1 hour of exercise over 24 days will go further for you than trying to exercise every hour of 24 hours. We want to do something consistently enough to be recognized. For example, an occasional post on social media won't cut it. Here in Luke 22, verse 39, it says, "And he came out," this is Jesus, "and he, Jesus, came out and went, as was his custom, to the Mount of Olives." Do you know what he was doing there? Yes, he was going there to pray. So he was doing something so consistently enough that they could count on him being there. I've been doing this Bible study at 8 p.m. on a Sunday night since the start of the year. And I did say, with the exception of a few instances, for example, we took off the night of the Super Bowl, we'll take off for Christmas and things like that. But for the most part, this is consistent. You want to do something consistently enough to be recognized. Last but not least, guys, there's so many things you can actually do, but this is the last one I'm going to share with you for today. Do something that shows you are the expert in your space. When we're talking about building a business on biblical principles, especially for the sake of building an influence and influential reach, this is so crucial. This is the space I'm in. This is what I talk about all day, every day. When I'm not on this Bible study, this is what I talk about. I'm obsessed with this concept. Do something that shows you are the expert in your space. Matthew 7, 28 through 29 says, "The crowds were astonished at his teachings," Jesus' teachings. The crowds were astonished at Jesus' teaching, for he taught them as one who had authority, not as their scribes. You see, the scribes were the intellectual, religious leaders of the day, but Jesus stood out over and above them. He spoke in such a way that he taught them as one who had authority. Guys, whatever it is you do, you're not the only one who does it. If you sell insurance, there are millions of insurance agents. If you sell real estate, millions of real estate agents. If you are a graphic designer, the point is, if you go to a conference for graphic designers, they're all graphic designers in the room, and I may even see you. The one upon the stage, that is the one who has the authority, at least in that moment. So you want to work as one who has the expertise in the space. Like I said, there are more things that you can do. There are more things that you can do. But since most of you never do anything, I'm not speaking to you, because if you're on this Bible study listening, I'm going to assume you're one of those who are looking for the steps to take so that you can build a business on biblical principles. But the data shows unquestionably that there are so many more hearers than doers, to the point where Jesus spoke to this. So there are many hearers, not that many doers. So rather than overwhelm you with more things, these four, if you do even one of them, I promise you will be way ahead and separated from the hearers only. You will be way ahead from the pack, because a lot of us think we're competing with the many others in our space. You sell real estate, you think you're competing with all the other real estates in your city. No, you are competing with a handful who are doing what needs to be done. For example, in the real estate space, I just did a presentation. When I did the research, it showed that only 4% of realtors, of real estate agents in the United States, are using video for their marketing. I'm not talking about using video to walk through the house to show you. No, no, no. Video to market their services. So for all the millions of real estate agents there are in the world, and for the hundreds of thousands of real estate agents right here in Tampa, overall 4% are using video to market themselves. Guys, you are not competing against the many. You might be competing against a handful who are actually doing what it takes to rise to the top. But guess what? Even if there are some clear leaders in this lane, if you do what it takes to be amongst the top, guess what? The Bible says the harvest is many and the workers are few. So I promise you, if you do more than here, but you take implementing action, you will rise to the top. You're not competing with the many, you're competing with the few who have taken the steps to do what it takes to become the leader in their space. It's really quite easy to win if you are a doer rather than just a hearer. Please don't just build a pretty but fragile kingdom. Build your business on the rock, on the foundation. Build assets that can outlive you. Build assets that can stand the test of time. I hope you found value in today's lesson. Join me next week as we talk about haters, warning sign or confirmation. Haters, warning sign or confirmation. Dr. Trudy Beerman here.